Hey everybody, how's it going? Wanted to make another video today. Want to talk about learning to unlearn things and the myth of the imposter syndrome. Okay, those of you that aren't familiar with that term, the imposter syndrome is when you are afraid that you are not who you believe to be, that you're a fraud, that you're a phony. Oh, maybe I'm not who I present myself to be. you know Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was at that thing. Maybe I'm not as confident as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not as kind as I thought I was, right? And so on and so forth. It goes on and on and on. A lot of that can be cured. The cure for the imposter syndrome is unlearning the conditioning that you've been given your whole life, through childhood, from work, school, the media. The media is famous for that, right? Making you think you want something you really don't. And it's just washing away or filing away all the things that you believe you are defined by. And I know we always say, oh, my past made me who I am. My past made me who I am today. It shaped me. On some level, that may be true, but at the highest level, no. In a lot of ways, that's not true. Because some of the stuff that you were conditioned to think or believe is not what it, that's the imposter. That's the imposter. When you say, oh, I'm a procrastinator, which I've said many times, I'm a procrastinator. I'm a workaholic, whatever, right? I'm a bad driver. I mean, yeah, on a certain level, like I said, in a certain context, that might be the case, but that is not you. That is not you. I'm lazy. I'm always late. I guess that goes with procrastinating to some level. Whatever, you know. It could be good. It could be things that you consider good or bad. Oh, you know, I'm so creative. No, I'm not. I'm artistic. No, I'm not. I'm punctual. No, I'm not. It's like, I mean, I'm not thinking of really great examples right now, but the point I'm trying to make is every label you give yourself is from your conditioning, your past, what shapes you, so to speak, and it's all stuff that could be unlearned. Like when you read biographies about famous people, oh, they were known for this, they were known for that. He was known for being this way, she was known for being that way. But then, and I'm not big on biographies because I feel like a lot of it's gossip. Not autobiographies, but usually. But a lot of the things are gossip. I'm not a fan of gossip because I'd like to find out for myself. Just like when I was teaching. When I was teaching in the classroom and I had my roster on the beginning of this time of year, just before the school year were to start, for the kids coming back, we'd get our rosters. And teachers would, and I was guilty, teachers would go around and say, oh, he's a good kid. He's a bad kid. She's sweet. She's trouble. He doesn't do his work. She works so hard. And I'm like, please, I don't want to know. I want to find out for myself. I want to find out for myself. I don't want these labels. I don't want to prejudge. Prejudice comes from prejudge, right? The word. I don't want to prejudge people. I want to see for myself. Okay? Same thing with you. The talk you give to yourself is mostly based on conditioning. Okay? You've got to unlearn that. Now, how that ties into the imposter syndrome is when you say, oh, I'm afraid I'm not who I think I am. Well, guess what? You're none of those things. Good, bad, or indifferent, you are none of those things at the highest level. You are none of those things. You are a piece of source, okay? Which is none of those things, okay? Now, the wonderful things like kindness, thoughtfulness, anything that doesn't feel like a resistance, that is part of that, okay? That is a characteristic you could carry. But any negative or any judgmental or any label you give to yourself, even if you think it's a good thing, is usually not who you really are. These things can be changed. Like people who say, oh, they're set in their ways. I'm set in my ways. No, you're not. You just choose to be there. You're not set in your ways. You don't want to be. Oh, I'm a certain age now, so I'm set in my ways. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I totally disagree with that. Define old for me. Define old dog for me. Define a new trick for me, whatever. Those are just cliches that have been so played, okay? And again, you are not who you think you are. It could always, who talks about this a lot? Kyle Cease. I recommend him. Kyle Cease is great for that. Unlearning a lot of the conditioning, okay? And it's never too late to change, okay? Because at the end of the day, you're a chameleon. No matter what level of the game or whatever you want to call it, what stage of life you're in, you're a chameleon, okay? You don't have to define yourself by those things. Even if there are stories about you. You know how many people are looking at you from a past lens? How many people are looking at you and judging you based on what you've done in the past, which is, I've struggled with it, When it's frustrating when you've evolved and people are still looking at you from a past lens. That's their issue, not yours. That's just more about them than it does about you. You know what I mean? Just let it go. I know it's hard, but that's an ego issue. Just let it go, okay? But the point I'm bringing out is, no matter how much evidence there is to the contrary, you are not that thing. You are not that characteristic, okay? Because anything that's feeling resistance is not you. So there's no such thing as an imposter syndrome because you are none of those things, okay? You are none of those things. Even if you feel you're being a fake to what? Right? You are truly not anything. Okay? Anything that has a label, right? That is having resistance or tightness in you, that is not flowing from the higher source, you're none of it. Okay? No such thing as imposter syndrome. And, the labels are just that. It's a myth. You know what I mean? Being a kind person, you're not always kind. No one is. That's why going back to biographies, I'm not a fan because people get all these labels and judging and, oh, this famous person was this way, this person was known to be that way. But then you'll hear little stories, especially with internet today, and you got to decipher what's true and what's not. But there are a lot of times when you'll hear a story to the contrary of what those people were believed to be. That's because we're all human. We're all complex. You can't suffer from an imposter syndrome if you're none of those things. Okay? So a lot of it has to come from unlearning the conditioning. Okay? Coming from the higher source. That's all I want to say. Take care.